Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight for episode 25, season 4 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live every Wednesday on Facebook throughout the season. Evening, Richie. Well, we survived our last Warriors bye week for the year, and we at least got a few entertaining games that made the race to the 8 interesting. First of all, how are you at this beautiful new angle, and how was your weekend?
I'm well, mate. I was just telling you just before, I just got back from Taranaki for work, so I'm a little buggered from the drive, but yeah, I did enjoy the footy. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. You still get a bit of the jonesing for no Warriors game, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there was still a few games which kept me entertained for the weekend at least. But while we're here live on Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m., you'll also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those places. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of round 22 and round 2 of the NRL and NRLW, and an update on our tips. We'll then stop and answer some questions from you guys, as well as some questions we've got for each other, before previewing round 23 and making our tips and ending the night with a recap of Super League. So remember to send us questions and comments throughout the show, and we'll do our best to answer them. And we may as well jump straight into the top stories of the week, Richie.
Sounds good, mate.
First bit of news, not the greatest, but Wally Lewis has announced that he's been diagnosed with CTE dementia. He stepped away from his role with 9 News in January due to this condition, but has kind of been public with it this week. I'm no doctor, so I don't know how bad it's going to be for him. It sounds like it's a lot of, with dementia, your memory's going a bit funny, but devastating news for him. You hear about this?
Yeah, no, I did, and yeah, obviously, very, very sad news. And there's a few players now from Wally's era who suffering from that kind of thing. Was a pretty brutal time to be playing. So, yeah, a little unfortunate, and I guess that's why we see a lot of emphasis around head safety nowadays.
Yeah, I'm the guy on the show that, there's no such thing as a head height, but it kind of brings forward the reasons why the NRL's put things like this in place nowadays to try to prevent this happening. I'm facetious. I think it's to prevent lawsuits, but hopefully it goes as well as it can for the king. But send our good wishes his way. We'll go on to the next bit, a bit more lighter, I guess. The RLPA NRL war strives on, with neither side really taking a back step. As we mentioned briefly last week, the NRL players said they were going to cover the NRL logo. They did that. Them and the NRLW players taped their logo over on the jerseys. Didn't do it on the shorts, just wanted the one on the jersey hidden. Now, their next step is they're reportedly going to delay kickoff times as their next pre-and protest, basically sit in the sheds till after the regulated time to kind of mess with the TV deal. The NRL has apparently also decided to do a bit of the dirty tactics and looking at cutting the $3 million a year they give to the RLPA for its funding. So it's I feel like that one's more effective because the RLPA will potentially start having to ask the players to donate money to fund the cause instead of the NRL funding it. So we might see a bit more traction because the ups and downs of all this, I know they keep saying it's not about money, but money talks. So
absolutely it does.
What's your take on the new chapter of the war?
Sick of hearing about it.
We've got a show, mate. We've got to talk about it.
I know we do. It just keeps branching off in different directions and different possible actions that each side will take. But, it's all getting a bit petty and don't look any closer to resolution. So look forward to it becoming a regular segment in our news.
Yeah, and Simon's mentioned about like a union being funded by the organization. That's the interesting thing. The RLPO isn't classified as a union, which is why the NRL gives them money to support it. But since they're acting like a union now, I think that's why they're saying we don't need to support it because it's a union. So I think that's where it's going, and I think that's where we're going to start seeing some changes there. But I don't know. It's a very divisive topic, Richie. I know whenever I talk to people about it, people that know me know that I'm very anti-establishment. I'm always about the workers, but for some reason I'm the opposite when it comes to this. I just there was we'll talk, Adia. We'll talk about another podcast like we like to do, but Fonzie in This Warrior's Life had a brief topic talking about it and explained the biggest thing the RLPA want basically is to have deciding power in what the NRL do. And that's where things will get murky. And that's probably why the NRL aren't interested, because they can't have a say in it. When you've got like New South Wales organization and Queensland organization have no decision-making rights, so why would the players? And it's like Simon said, he supports the players' right to collect the bargaining solidarity with the union. It's perfectly fine to have a union, but I put it like to you, Richie, for your job, if you said, I want to have the same decision-making luxuries that the CEO has, I don't think your work would do it either, would they?
Of course they wouldn't.
Yeah. So
yeah.
True, but there are other companies that Richie can go work for. There's no other NRL for these players to go work for. That's kind of the difference.
Yeah, but they don't have to play in the NRL if they're not happy with that. You know,
it's about the only place they can play. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I still think the NRL are going to win out. I feel like once the players are paying it for it themselves, they're going to not want to do it anymore. But we'll see what happens. There'll be another segment on it next week, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
But yeah, next bit of news, we'll go with more. Casey said, unless you become a partner. Yeah, that's the way. But next bit of interesting news, the Storm celebrated their 25 years with a trophy presentation of their 99, 2007, 2009, 2012, 2017 and 2020 premierships, with many raising eyes at the 07 and 09 ones, since those were taken away due to their salary cap rorting. Storm CEO Justin Rodsky came out this week and said that he felt it was important to acknowledge the work the players did in those 2 years. I know Billy Slater and Cam Smith have come out as well and saying, like, all you people upset about it, just jealous, basically. And what's your thoughts on it, Richie? I thought it was a bit poor taste. You know, you don't celebrate other cheaters winning things, do you? So,
yeah, it is a bit funny. But whenever you hear Cam Smith or people from that Melbourne Storm era interviewed about their premierships, they don't exclude those ones. They never have.
No.
I think in their eyes, they made it to the grand final. They won the grand final. So, yeah, they were stripped of the titles officially, but in their eyes, I think it's still a premiership won. I don't really care. Who cares? Yeah.
I think it's in poor taste, but I'm not up at night, upset about it.
Exactly.
The thing is, if they were caught cheating beforehand, they wouldn't have been in those grand finals like the Bulldogs situation. But it was a bit too late. But yeah, the Storm always beat their own drum. So got another comment. How many people would react if Lance Armstrong was parading his past achievements? Yeah, it's a like for like for me in that scenario.
Yeah, except he did kind of do photos of him with all his yellow jerseys on the wall going, hey, look, I've still got 7 yellow jerseys. Yeah. He's eating it. But he's like, everyone else doped as well. Why did you pick on me? Well, because you're an arsehole who destroyed people's careers and livelihoods as well as a drug cheat. But hey, not that I'm going to rant and rave about this, that I have hard feelings about the fact that Lance Armstrong did.
And yeah, we've still got teams like the Roosters cheating the cap anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it's just they're not good enough to win a championship with it. Next bit of news, Shark Cameron McInnes broke the record for most tackles in a game with 81 against the Panthers in the weekend. Massive achievement. It's not the achievement you want to get because if you're making that many tackles, it's generally because you're on the losing side, which was the case here. And if his team learned how to hold the ball, he might have had a bit of a reprieve, but it's a great achievement for him. Be buggered. I couldn't imagine doing that many tackles, but what do you think about that type of achievement?
Yeah, it's a remarkable stat. We've seen Michael Luck do close to that. I think he got 78 or something in a game.
Elijah Taylor, I think, got 77 as well.
Yeah, but I bet you anything Cam McInnes would trade that stat for the win against the Panthers.
Definitely.
Yeah. But it's a nice wee feather in his cap.
Yeah, and Paul says it's a serious shift in the other players owing a beer.
Yeah.
I think he'd rather just want some dental work, but depends on what you want. And next bit of news, we'll go on to the Knights. The Knights are the newest team to be spied meeting with Justin Holbrook, but have come out and stated that Adam O'Brien's job is safe as head coach in 2024, despite there were some news that Newcastle recently knocked back a contract extension request from O'Brien's management. I think O'Brien's safe. I think I've questioned him as a head coach there for a while, but they've been doing reasonably well the past month. And Holbrook's, let's be honest, after the kind of shock sacking, he's the hottest property on the market in terms of coaching. So everyone's be interested in it. Everyone that's talked to him so far, I think, has been inquiring about bringing him in as an assistant anyway.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's always a bit of paranoia for head coaches when you bring in a former head coach as an assistant that, you know, if you slip up, someone's ready to just jump in and take over. But what's your thoughts on the Holbrook situation? It feels like every team's reached out to him.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Perhaps it's a assistant coach role type job that they're looking at. I feel that Adam O'Brien should be safe. I mean, they're on a bit of a charge, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak in the 8, put it that way. And the comp's been very close. He's made some funny decisions, like obviously the biggest one trying to play Kalen Ponga at 6 when it's clear for pretty much anyone to see his best position is fullback. But also I think he owned that and realised it wasn't working, and he was man enough to put his hand up and make the change. And ever since he's done that, they've pretty much gone on a bit of a tear. So, you know, I think that's a sign of a mature coach who's, I reckon he should be safe.
Yeah, I think if he had started the season with Ponga at fullback, they potentially could already be in the 8. But yeah, he's at least shown progress that he knew it was wrong and fixed it, as opposed to sticking to his guns. So yeah, I think he's more than safe. And yeah, Holbrook will be somewhere. We just don't know where. I think Jacko put a comment in that the Dogs have also reached out to him as well. So he's got like 6 or 7 clubs all interested. So you can guarantee he'll be at one. He doesn't really have an affiliation with Penrith, so I don't see him going to the Dogs.
Yeah,
because that's against their MO. But he'll end up somewhere. Which is, you know, I'm sure Paul will love that great insight from me that Justin Holbrook will win somewhere. But next bit of news, Try July is now over, Richie. There was $5,000. We didn't really talk about it on the shows, but yeah, $5,000 was given for each try celebration from Sportsbet. So I think the tally for the end of this month, it was $400,000 that Sportsbet are going to donate to Nathan Stapleton and Daniel Anderson for, you know, money to go towards their recoveries. I love it. I think if we saw try celebrations every round every year, you would get over it. But I think having 1 month where that you can kind of let some personality shine through, it's good for the game, and it's a cheeky way of sports bet getting to trying to do a bit of gambling advertising. So it's a win-win, I guess, for that. But what's your take on Try July, and did you have a favorite celebration this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's great, obviously, to have raised that amount of money for Nathan Stapleton and Daniel Anderson. And you're right. I think, obviously, it wouldn't be great, and people would run out of ideas if it was all year round. But having a period of time, it's fantastic. Personal favorite, I don't know. I think let's go with To'o and Liam Martin with their pretty sus celebration, but it was, I don't know what was that
celebration.
Blades of Glory. It was, wasn't it? It was purely for the
Brokeback Mountain. It was one of the two.
Purely for the laughs. It was pretty funny.
Mine, I'm cheating. I'm going with the girls in the limbo. But
that was good.
But yes, Paul, you've got some insight as well.
I was to say, it's a shame that we're having to raise money for ex-players who or players who need recovery, right? Anyone else should be putting their hand in their pocket. They make enough money as it is. So so it should be used for something else. But
right.
I was going to say,
Ando was a coach, so the RLPA doesn't help the coaches. So,
well, okay, the NRL itself should help out coaches and members of the family.
But they are. They're just not doing it yet. It's round 25. Remember, we've done this on the show, Paul. You've got to take notes.
No, but not kind of like, oh, let's get we'll match donations by. No, put your hand in your pocket and just sort it out properly. Don't make these guys have to worry, and as soon as it's a problem, deal with it, guys. You've got cash. You're a rich organisation. Sort it.
I don't know. Anyway. I don't know, Paul. If I got injured, like going boogie boarding, I don't see my work paying for my recovery.
Sure, but you're not. It's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Anyway,
not special, Brad.
And at least we didn't have any of the at least any other players doing like a Liverpool Football Club where they were like pretending to sniff coke off the lines of the pitch or anything like that. So they kept it. The players kept it in good nature, which is good to see.
Mm-hmm. No, we saved that for Mad Monday. So. And then the last bit of news before we get into signings, Sen's radio mentioned this week that the NRL may force the Warriors to take their home final matches to Eden Park instead of keeping them at Mount Smart. I haven't got too much information. I did look into a bit more before we went on air, but essentially finals footy, the NRL collects the money from the gate instead of the teams hosting. So they dictate where the games are played. It's not just a Warriors thing. Like I was mentioning with Paul before we went on air, last year Penrith got to play the first final in Penrith and then the second one in Sydney, in Sydney City, because you get more people to the game. So potentially if the Warriors get one or two finals, the first one may be at Mount Smart and the second one at Eden Park. What's your take on it? We already know
I don't like it.
I hate nothing more than Eden Park, but they want more bums on seats, and they can get that at Eden Park. So I understand the money making thing of it, but also the Warriors don't play well at Eden Park. So I really don't want a deciding game in the finals going to a place where the Warriors aren't good at winning.
No, I don't like it. And I'm sure you don't either, Brad. Mount Smart's home. The atmosphere there is so much better. I think a sold-out Eden Park versus sold-out Eden Park versus a sold-out Mount Smart. It's a lot less people, but I'm sure the atmosphere would be better. Call me crazy. I don't know. I've loved the show that the club has put on at Mount Smart this year for home games, especially the night games, where they black out the stadium and put all the coloured lights out. It's just a great product. You could probably speak to that more having gone to it live, but I know on the telly it looks amazing.
Oh, it's been fantastic, and it's something the Warriors themselves can't actually control. If the NRL make that decision, there's not much they can do. So I hope it's not going to happen. Especially, we harp on about it. We sound like, complainers all the time, but all the crap they did through COVID, it feels just like another twist of the knife. If you like, you finally get finals footy, let's take it to the stadium that so many league fans despise and play it there. We'll see what happens. There's really been no official confirmation because as of yet, we don't know what the top 8 is going to be and who's going to be playing where. So we'll obviously get to talk about it a bit more in a couple of weeks when the finals start to take better shape. But I thought I'd better mention it now since it was kind of everywhere on socials today. So we'll move into signings. We've got quite a few this week. So Blake Taff is officially announced that he's gone to the Bulldogs on a 2-year deal. The Bulldogs have also confirmed the signing of the weak gutted dog, Jermaine Salmon, on a 2-year as well. So we basically have already talked about them. So you got anything else you want to add other than what we've said the past few weeks?
Not really. It's good signing to the Dogs. I mean, we saw that their injuries hit hard this year, so really good for their depth to pick up a couple of guys from big clubs.
Yeah, and the Knights have extended the deal of Tyson Frizzell. He's got another 2 years, which is a massive win for the Knights because it really looked like he was a player that could potentially end up elsewhere. So the fact they've managed to keep him is a big win for them. Yep, definitely. Liam Martin has also re-signed with the Panthers for another 3 years, and they've also extended Tyrone Peachy for another year. 2 decent, signings for the Panthers. Dragons have signed Rabido Hamisili on a 3-year deal. Good win for the Dragons, and unfortunately the end of Silly's career going to the Dragons, but maybe he can turn it around. The Knights also just announced today that they've signed Jack Cogger from the Panthers on a 3-year deal, which I think is a massive win for them. We haven't got to see a lot of him this year, but what we have, it shows he's very capable and could be a good player to join up with, I'd assume, Hastings in the halves. Don't know what it means for Gamble, but it could either be maybe Hastings on the way out due to his age. I don't know. But great talent to get. And then last one, Lee Leopards have signed Olivia Gildart, effective immediately. So he kind of hasn't really been hitting the NRL like everyone thought he would. So he's gone straight back home. Yep. What's your take on those guys?
The Panthers ones are good. Liam Martin is massive for them. He's a real leader in their pack now and an established rep player. Peachy just seems to play well there too. I know he struggled when he left, but he just seems to suit that club well. Hamisali's a good one for the Dragons. I think he's a goer. So, good pick up there.
Yep. Now we'll go on to injuries. Quite a few of these as well. Titans, they had Jojo Fafita injured his ankle and is going to miss the next few weeks. AJ Brinson also tore his abdomen and will be assessed before decisions made on if he'll face the Warriors or not. He has been named, but they're still wanting to do some checks. Connolly Limu from the Dolphins failed an HIA, and he was meant to have 11-day stand down, but he's also been named, so I don't know what's going on there. And Ewan Aitken will miss the week due to a knee injury. In the Sharks, Will Kennedy tore his hamstring and could potentially be out for the rest of the regular season. And injury news, but not an actual injury, but Ryan Pappenhausen makes his return from his lengthy injury this week, being named at fullback for the Sunshine Coast Falcons. So I just throw a whole lot of injuries at you, Richie, which I love to do. But what's your take on all of those?
Will Kennedy's massive for the Sharks, who, as we know, they're on a bit of a skid now, and they're walking a bit of a tightrope. So nervous times for them. Brimson, torn abdomen seems like it'd be pretty damn uncomfortable to play with. So see how he recovers there. Most of all, very exciting news about Ryan Pappenhausen. So, I hope he comes back well and get some match fitness back in those legs, and we can see him wearing the purple again soon.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he goes. So yeah. Good news for him. Next to Naughty Boys. We're back to Naughty Boys. No girls did anything too bad this week. Just a few warnings, but Valentine Holmes had a grade 2 careless high tackle. He he went to fight it and was unsuccessful, so he is out for 4 weeks, which is a massive blow for the Cowboys.
Massive, yeah. I think it's the fact that he had a sin bin the week before for a high tackle as well probably didn't help him.
I thought they were both okay.
I thought the one the week before was definitely fine.
No, it looked worse in terms of the impact on the player. It was still fine, but it was just the impact because Mitch Moses, he knows how to fake an injury. But yeah, I thought they were fine. I think 4 weeks is far too much, but
hey, if it's good enough for Niokore.
True, very true. But I was defending Niokore as well. Next one, Jack DeBellin from the Dragons. He also tried to fight his charge. He had a grade 2 dangerous contact. He was also unsuccessful, so he's also got 4 weeks. You could say it's a big loss for the Dragons, but it
doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter for them. It just makes it a bit easier to pick against them. For you, not for me. I pick against them anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, tough luck for him. And then last one, Tyrone Peachy. He's got 2 matches for a grade 3 careless high tackle. Is what it is. It's not really going to shake the Panthers to their core. Losing Peachy, no. He's a handy player, but
they cope with these well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's all of the Naughty Boys. So we may as well get into round 22, Richie.
Sounds good.
Starting with the Broncos defeating the Roosters 32-10.
And it was 5 tries to 2 for the Broncos. Herbie Farnworth, Ezra Mann, Patrick Carrigan with his first. They were very excited about that. Katoni Staggs and Ezra Mann again just before full time. 2 tries to the Roosters, Billy Smith and Daniel Tupou.
Yeah, so typical performance that for what we've come to expect from the Broncos this year. They did make a lot of errors, which was probably a bit of a concern. But when the passes stuck, they were hard to stop. They were defensively sound as well. They kind of made the Roosters look second rate. And I think they're a very tough prospect for any finals team to have to face in the playoffs. They just, I get if you're a better team, I guess if they're making those errors, you can take advantage of it. But they're just so dangerous with the ball in hand, and they're getting so much better without it in hand as well. So very, very dangerous and scary team right now. But what's your take on the Bronx?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you, mate. I thought they were impressive. They had a few mishaps, particularly with Walsh passing over the sideline a couple of times. But yeah, once they find their groove, they're really great to watch. They're unlike last year. I don't see a fade coming. I think they're ready and primed to go deep.
Yeah. And your thoughts on your favorite Roosters?
Oh, yeah, I think this could be, a nail in the coffin for their season. Not great for my tip, but who cares? It's fantastic to see them struggle. This performance sums up their season pretty well. I thought their attack looked too wide without earning the right by going forward, and they just looked side to side and didn't look threatening for most of the game. And that's pretty much their season in a nutshell.
Yeah, before I go into my comments on the Roosters, there was an interesting quote from their fearless leader, Teddy, where he basically said, like, the team know it's do or die. They got to get wins on the board. And it's a bit late. That should be something you should know round one. But they're different. But they, I praised them last week where it looked like they were kind of getting into sync finally, but they were back to being a clunky mess here. They were struggling to string any attacking phases together. They were mismatched on defense. They've got a lot of talent, but they just don't work as a team. And until they learn that, they're going to continue to struggle. And I want to give a little shout out to, I think it was Billy Smith with when one of the worst last tackle kicks I've ever seen, which led to Ezra Mam, running the length of the field. Basically, it was the worst kick. He may as well have been a front rower kicking it, to be honest. But yeah, horrible. But your player of the match.
I went Paddy Carrigan. You could almost say his name every week. He's another one of those guys like Payne Haas who gives you at least an 8 out of 10 every week. But he got his first NRL try, and I think it was the 78th. I think it was the 78th NRL game. So it's nice to see people like Pat Carrigan and what's his name over at the Tigers,
Alex Twal.
Yeah, Alex Twal get off their big droughts. So, but yeah, Paddy Carrigan, he's always good. But I'll give him his flowers because he got his first try.
Yeah, I went with Ezra Mam. So we're doing the reverse Uno here. You picking a forward, me going with a half. Thought he's just been dangerous. He got that double, and like that second try he got was, as much as it was given to him on a platter, he still had to work to finish it. But I think he's really grown in confidence this year.
Oh,
and, he's got a very talented half that I think's got a big future.
Oh, he's only super young too. I'm pretty sure he's younger than Reece Walsh. So massive future. Yeah.
So next game, the Rabbitohs defeating the Tigers 32-18.
6 tries to 3 here for the Rabbitohs. Alex Johnston with a hat trick. How many times has he done that? Isaiah Tass, Keon Kalormatangi, and Cameron Murray. 3 tries for the Tigers, Api Coruscant, Isaiah Papali'i, and Fonua Pole.
Yeah, a decent win for the Rabbits here, but to be honest, I expected more. I know that sounds bad. 32-18 is not a bad score, but I thought the Rabbitohs should have really shown their authority in this match and really, blown them off the park. But, their attack looked dangerous with the return of Latrell Mitchell, but the Tigers just dragged them into a tight tussle for a little bit. And but to their credit, the Rabbitohs class did allow them to push on. A good win, but I don't think it's a win that's going to strike fear into the other playoff contenders right now. And but at least AJ's hat trick got him closer to that try scoring record like we talked about last week.
Yeah. I was anticipating a bigger score, but I guess it goes to show there are no easy games this time of year. They'll be very happy to see Big Trowell return, and he had some really nice touches after a long layoff. So, that's good for them. He gives them a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the poor old Tigers?
Yeah, poor old Tigers. Better effort this week, I felt, so that's something. They were really in the game until the Bunnies scored twice in the last quarter, and then that kind of took the game away. But I thought the Tigers showed good fight for a lot of this game.
Yeah, I kind of got the same. I said that the Tigers came to play and showed fight for the majority of the match, but they just didn't have the firepower to take control. Api Coruscant offered some spark, but it just wasn't enough. It's been a tough year for them, as we've been saying a lot, but at least it's almost over. And they're another week closer to going to the Tron. So I'm sure they're all looking forward to that. Your player to stand out.
Who wouldn't look forward to going to the Tron?
I'm looking forward to it. I got it on the calendar, man. I'm counting down.
I put Latrell. Yeah, it's just great to see him back after a long layoff, and he does add different dimensions to their play, and I'm sure the more games he gets under their belt and they have a bit of a nice run in, I'm sure we'll see them pick up their level. Yeah,
I went with him too. I'm quite harsh on the guy a lot of the time, and I know there was a bit of news this week with Gus Gould kind of sticking it to him as well. And I kind of throw that away because Gus Gould's team's got Haynes Perham at fullback. So what, it just sounds like jealousy there a little bit to me. But
he'd take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he'd be in a Bulldogs fullback jersey now if Gould had the chance.
In a heartbeat.
But yeah, he does have a bit of a reputation of being a bit lazy and not looking for the ball if it's not coming his way. And the Rabbitohs need him to do that. But I've seen that this year when he's been playing, that he has been a bit more active. So I think he's very dangerous when he gets in that attacking mood. So we'll see what happens as the run to playoffs continues. But next game, final game on Friday, Storm toweling up the Eels 46-16.
Did they ever? 8-3 in favour of the Storm. For the Storm, Harry Grant went over twice. Jerome Hughes, Ali Katoa, Josh King, Marion Seve, Cam Munster, and Will Warbrick were the try scorers. For the Eels, Sean Russell, Jermaine Hopgood, and Luca Moretti were the try scorers.
Yeah, I assumed the Storm would make a statement match after their upset loss last week, and I was right here. Was almost a perfect performance. Hard to stop attack, low error rate, outstanding defense. Storm may be back on track after this, but this week's match is going to be the real testing to see how good they are, because they have to play the Panthers. So, if they can beat the Panthers or at least, go toe-to-toe with them, then we know they're back in the right frame of mind for finals. But what's your take on the Storm?
I thought it was a big bounce back from the Storm, as they so often do, bouncing back from a tough loss. I really wish I'd taken that into consideration when I was doing my tipping. But I need to come back somehow. So, I'm not thinking with my head all of the time. I thought they looked really slick this week, and their spine did a lot of damage. When that spine's on, they're very hard to stop.
Yeah, I don't even want to mention the multi. I was going to say if Paul hadn't made the error about accidentally picking the Raiders, we were going to get the multi, but then Sunday blew us off the park anyway. So we won't talk about it. I see it there.
There it is. There it goes.
Yeah. So if the Raiders one was in by accident, we still would have been out. So it is what it is. I was very upset. But remember, I picked the Knights too. You did. So you have got a nice little tick there on my little sheet. So well done, you.
Thank you.
But your thoughts on the Eels?
Another big name team walking a tightrope to the finals. They just weren't in this one at all whatsoever. They're completely outclassed. And wouldn't they love to have RCG and Dylan Brown out there right now?
Well, Dylan Brown's back this week, but
might be too little, too late.
Too little, too late. Yeah, they're just back to being poor again. It seems 1 week we're praising how good they are, the next week how rubbish they are. But they just couldn't figure out a way through the Storm's defense. They lost the battle in the middle, and as we've come to expect in these tough matches, Mitch Moses disappeared. This was around the time last year. This was the time the Eels started to build momentum that saw them go as far as they got, But I just don't think history's going to repeat this year. I think that team that's going to be there'll be a team that builds momentum and goes deep into the finals, but it's not going to be the Eels this year.
Yeah, agreed.
Your player to stand out, I think we picked the same one this week.
Yeah, hard to go past Hughes. I was pretty sure we were going to go the same way here, but he just had one of those games where everything he touched turned to gold. Yeah,
I went with him too. Thought it was outstanding. As Rue mentioned earlier, he had a great try celebration with the Sudoku.
Good.
Was a great night out for him. So next game, the first upset, I guess we could say, maybe. Knights defeating the Raiders 28-6.
Well, it wasn't an upset if you asked me, because
Yes, because you picked it. Yes,
I saw this coming. Not quite to the tune of that scoreline, but it was 4-1. Kalen Ponga, Greg Marzu, Dom Young, and Tyson Gamble for the Knights. Just the one try for the home team, Jordan Rapana.
Yeah, the Knights' momentum continues to grow. This is their fourth win in a row. They did make a lot of errors, a bit like what I said about the Broncos earlier, but they were able to defend their way out of trouble, which is something we've kind of related to the Warriors this year, where they drop the ball, but then they make sure they defend the set they've lost. But their attack looked crisp, and if they keep performing like this, they could have a decent stab at returning to the playoffs. But what's your take on the Knights?
Yeah, really nice performance. And now they're on a winning streak as well. I think they're starting to look really comfortable now that they have established their spine, and Ponga's back there for the last few weeks. Their back five going really well. momentum's a great thing. They seem to have the wind in their sail now, and I think they'll go close.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Raiders?
Not the best day at the office for them. Sorry, Simon. Must have been a little bit of a hard watch, but yeah, they'll want to get back to winning ways pretty quickly if they want to stay established in that top 8. Yeah, it's tight. It's a tight comp. So all of these performances like this, with each one that goes by, you'll be getting more and more nervous.
Yeah, the Raiders been doing well lately, but they just never got off the start line here, which is a big concern for their chance of playing finals. They couldn't hold on to the ball and were at 6s and 7s against the Knights' attack. Sticky has made some changes this week, but is it too little, too late? I don't know. And yeah, Paul's put on the notes there. Knights, Panthers, and Broncos are the top form teams, 4-0 in the last 5 rounds.
The Warriors are like 6 from their last 7. Don't leave them out, Paul.
We got that one loss that Paul cost us by coming to the game. So, we would have been up there with that. But there's still a couple of rounds to go for us to join that echelon. But your player to stand out. I know we've gone different here.
Yeah, I just put KP. I think Ponga's been going really nicely, and when he goes well, the Knights are going well. So he's leading well from the front. So
KP's their Nico Hines. If they win, you pick him, right? I went with Dane Gagai. I thought it was Gagai's best game in a long while.
Yeah, agree.
Set up a few nice tries. But yeah, it was, I thought a decent outing for him. And I kind of knew you would go with Ponga. And Rue said no more live games for Paul. I'm doing my best.
Unless it's against the Tigers, someone like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Next game, Manly defeating the Dragons 24-18. And yes, I have banned Paul. I'm very superstitious with who I take to Warriors games. So
he is. I can vouch for that. But this game, it was 4-3 in favour of Manly. Tulatau Kola, Hamole Olokuatu, Ruben Garrick, and Jason Saab were the try scorers. For the Dragons, Francis Molo, Billy Burns, Tyrell Sloan.
Yeah, this was a strange win for Manly. They only had 39% possession due to a poor error rate, but they did enough. They basically had 2 patches of form, between the 20th and 30th minute and between the 40th and 50th minute. And that's where they got all their points. A win's a win, but I wouldn't be happy if I was a Manly fan. And they need a big improvement before they face the Roosters this week. Jacko said the Dragons were robbed. It should happen more often. But what's your take on Manly?
What a hater. I thought Manly did enough damage in the first half and early in the second, but sort of similar to last week, I think it looked like they gassed in the second half. And the Dragons were able to get themselves back into the match. So, yeah, I think for Manly, a key focus for them will be working on playing for that full 80.
Yeah. And your thoughts on the Dragons?
Good fight from them. I thought their sin bin came at the wrong time and hurt their momentum. I didn't agree with the sin bin whatsoever, though, to be honest. Yeah. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I was fully endorsing the sin bin.
Of course you were. I knew.
Get him on. No, I thought it was harsh, but he's got 4 weeks now, so obviously the NRL disagree with us.
How much of a minefield has that been?
Oh yeah, I feel like you sometimes just throw a dart at the board, and whatever number you get is how many weeks you get. But I was giggling a little bit because my notes on the Dragons are reasonably confident or complimentary, I should say. But I thought the Dragons were tough. They did cough up a few chances that cost them in the end. And I think you could probably put it down to a lack of confidence after a poor year, but they haven't given up. So that's a positive. It's a slim positive to have if you're a Dragons fan. But we talked a few weeks ago that when they were playing the Warriors, it just looked like, most of the team did not want to be there. So at least they're trying to stick it out. They're all counting down the days till the season's over, but They're not just going to let teams walk all over them. But your player,
I think we've gone the same side of the field.
we have.
I went Kohler. He looked great. Just looks dangerous. So fast. I think that's a strong side of the field for them.
Yeah, I went with Saab. Same reasons, basically. He looks strong and he's fast.
It's a good recipe.
So next game. We talked kind of about upsets, but this one kind of went a little bit how I expected. Panthers defeating the Sharks 28-0.
Yeah, 5-0 here. Jerome Luai, Isaiah Yeo, Brian Taruva, and Liam Martin. 0 for the Sharks.
Yeah, usual dominant display we've become used to with Penrith. Their attack was measured and deadly despite the lack of competition. And while they didn't have to work that hard on defense, they refused to let the Sharks get into the match. Sharks, we've talked about it before, one of the most deadliest player teams with the ball in hand. So to hold them to 0 is a massive deal. But just solid outing for the Penrith. But what was your take on them?
Yeah, a very suffocating performance from the champions. Didn't give the Sharks an inch and took their chances well with the ball. But yeah, it was their defense. Their defense was awesome. Earned them a very hard-earned donut on the board from the Sharks.
Yeah, and your take on the Sharks?
I didn't expect them to come out of this game with the 2 points, given their recent form. But yeah, they obviously completely shut out. If they drop another game or two in the coming weeks, the nerves will ramp up big time with regards to a top 8 finish.
Yeah, not much to say about the Sharks. They offered nothing with the ball in hand, and they're just not a top 8 worthy team. Full credit to McInnes for the new tackling record, but he's only given that chance due to his team being school grade level with the ball in hand. We picked the same guy, I know, for our guy, but who'd you pick?
Cleary. Don't even need to say why. It's just Cleary.
Yeah, same reason, Cleary. Need we say more?
Yeah.
First game of the horrible Sundays for our tipping. The Bulldogs defeating the Dolphins 23-22.
Yeah, the doggies getting up. It was 4 tries apiece, so goal kicking was important here. For the Dogs, Viliami Kakau on return, he picked up a try. Braden Burns, Jake Averillo, Blake Wilson. For the Dolphins, Jermaine Isako, Anthony Milford with 2, and Valence Tefare. Jermaine Isako had a chance to win the game at the end, but not to be.
Poor Jermaine. Hard-fought match here with the Bulldogs holding on for the win. They got that field goal just before halftime, and it was a head-scratcher for me. I was like, why do it? But that ended up being the perfect play because it got them the win. Didn't force it to golden point. They did let in a few easy tries, but they didn't show any signs to quit, which I think is a good sign for a team with nothing to play for. Looked a more dangerous team with Kakau back, and they may score a few more wins before the year's over if they play like this. But what's your take on the doggies?
Satisfying win for the Dogs, showing what they can do with a few troops back on board. I thought they did well to outgrind a team that's been very good at grinding out games this year. Masterstroke from Matty Burton. He could see the game unfolding into a tight one and took the early 1 point. Turned out to be the difference.
Yeah, and your take on the Dolphins?
A disappointing result for the Dolphins, who they would have still been clinging onto hope of a top 8 finish. Realistically, now though it's very tough this year, but looking to next year with Flegler, Farnworth, Averillo all coming on board next year, they'll be very formidable.
Yeah, and before I talk about them, Paul's brought up, Dolphins had 6 wins in the first 10 rounds and 2 wins since, which we didn't expect a lot out of them this year, Richie, when we were doing our predictions. But when they started performing well at the start of the year, we kind of were in unison talking about we kind of expect them to drop off as the season goes on. That's what we are seeing, unfortunately. But they did dominate a lot of the stats here. They just left their run too late. A few poor calls didn't help them. I thought the last try Bulldogs looked a bit forward to me, but I was biased. I had money on the game, so I was very biased. But yeah, they show promise with ball in hand, and I think they will have a decent shot of making finals next year once they've learnt the lessons of their first year running around. But I know we went different with our player. Who was your player?
Yeah, I put Matty Burton. I thought he was good. And
all's right back in the world. You're picking a half.
Yeah, the difference maker in the end.
Yeah, I went with Cacao. I just saw it was an immediate impact you saw, and when he went off the field, you saw the Bulldogs kind of drop a level again, and then when he came back on, they went back up.
Yeah, it's true.
And yeah, cheeky field goals aren't going to get you the tick in my book, Richie. So I went with the big forward, which takes us to the last game. Titans bursting the bubble with the poor old Cowboys, 22-13.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one. 4 tries to 2 for the Titans. AJ Brimson, Philip Sami, Jaden Campbell, and Khan Pereira. 2 tries for the Cowboys, Semi Valame, Cohen Hess.
Yeah, this was the upset of the round for me. The Titans should have been blown off the park here with how the Cowboys are going, but they didn't get the memo. They bullied the Cowboys up the middle and created space for Sami and Khan Pereira to ask plenty of questions of the Cowboys. Losing AJ Brimson during the match could have been the final nail in the coffin for them, but Jaden Campbell stepped up and put on a fantastic performance. A hard team to figure out, the old Titans, but that's what makes them dangerous this week for the Warriors.
Yeah, I thought it was a massive effort from them to stop the form team of the competition. I thought their forward stepped up in the absence of Tino, and then off the back of that, Foz, the old dog, the crafty old dog, and the other little men as well. Off the back of that, looked really dangerous.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Cowboys?
Definitely a little down from their lofty heights of the last few weeks. Now with Val Holmes out for a few weeks and Jeremiah Nanai still out, a few big weeks await the Cowboys in terms of their finals prospects.
Yeah, and Jacko's mentioned Peyton looked shell-shocked in the presser and even blamed Origin for his players. That's something, it wasn't here when Peyton was with the Warriors, but I've noticed that when he went to the Cowboys, whenever they lose, he's got a bit of a sticky in him, and he kind of blames everything. But his team, they had this game in the bag if they did everything they've been doing the past few weeks, but they didn't. They've been on a massive roll and have looked unstoppable. You know, me even going, oh, they could probably beat, the Broncos right now and things like that. And perhaps they were just cocky leading into this match. And their quick start, getting 2 tries in the first 15 minutes, maybe that solidified that cockiness. And it looked like they either switched off or ran out of gas. I'm not sure which one. This was a must-win for their playoff hopes. And while they're still in the 8, any more efforts like this could see them missing the finals. And like Paul's put in, they have to play the Broncos and the Panthers. So this was a game they couldn't afford to lose, and they just let it go.
Yeah, hopefully the Broncos
stand out.
Hopefully the Broncos and Panthers get them. I wouldn't mind them ruled out. I put Foreign, called him the crafty old dog a moment ago, and he was really good. Try assist, 40-20. He's looking really good right now. He looks like a older and slower version of the old Foreign, but like I said, very, very experienced, very crafty, leads them around really well.
Yeah, I went with David Fafita. I know 80% of the time on this show, I stick it to him. So, you got to give him some love sometimes.
You've turned a corner on him, haven't you?
He's doing a lot more work.
He's turned a corner.
Complaint.
Yeah.
I did have the stats. I think he ran for like 167 meters or something in this game. And he stepped up with Big Tino out to kind of do
Yeah.
a bit more of the work, which is what they need from him. And hopefully he's put all that effort into this game, so he has a backside slide this week, hopefully. But that was the round. So that will bring us to the ladder or the tips, whichever one Paul decides to do first. No, don't show us the multis again, please. Do it, the ladder. So you did top 8 last week, didn't you?
No, I did bottom 8 last week, I'm pretty sure.
So you do top 8 then.
All right. It's 1 through 5 are all pretty much the same as last week's. Panthers 1, Broncos 2, Warriors 3, Melbourne 4, Raiders 5. Souths jumped to number 6, and Sharks down to 7, Cowboys down to 8th.
Yeah, and then the bottom 9, Newcastle have gone up to 9th, Manly 10th, Eels have gone down to 11th, Titans have gone up to 12th, Dolphins have stayed where they are at 13, Roosters went down to 14, Bulldogs up to 15, the Dragons gone down to 16, and Tigers have stayed where they've been most of the year, dead last. So,
poor Tigers.
I reckon it's only a battle between the 9 now. I think we kind of said that last week as well, but I think after the round just gone, it's the top 8's going to consist out of 8 of those 9 teams at the top. I think Manly down or out. Who knows? That may change next week, but
you could do.
You want to bring up our tips, Paul? We don't really have to look at it. We all did the same. Which basically means everything is staying exactly where it is. Simon got 5 out of 8 for 103 out of 164. I got 5 out of 8, 1 point behind him at 102 out of 164. And Richie got 5 out of 8, going with 97 out of 164. So exact same brackets as last week. So yeah, interesting times. And I'm looking at the tips that Simon's put through, and I don't see much changing. It looks like we've picked the same. Spoilers ahead.
So it's Q&A?
No, we've got one little quick bit first. Just the NRLW round 2 results. Titans defeated the Broncos 17-16. Raiders defeated the Roosters 24-14. Dragons defeated the Eels 38-12. Cowboys defeated the Knights 31-20. And then the Tigers, undefeated still, 10-0 over the Sharks. So there were some good games in there again. It's good to see the Tigers doing what the boys can't. But yeah, any thoughts on the women before we move into questions with Paul?
No, I didn't actually catch any of the games in total. I caught the highlights packages of them all. It looks like some nice play. The Titans-Broncos game looked like a nail-biter, so yeah.
Some good matches there and real good skill levels. So exciting to see. So question time, Paul. Oh, Paul's left. So I know there are some questions in there. Bear with me. I'll do it. Because Paul's back. Oh, no, he's not. Bugger. No, there you're back, Paul.
There he is.
I'm back. Sorry, my some reason it lost my camera, so I popped back in again. So questions from the live chat then. Ken Wills, what's your thoughts on Katoa from the Storm this season? I don't think he would be playing this year for us the way we are going.
Do you want to take it first, Richie, or me?
I mean, hard to argue when you look at how our back row's been performing. Jackson Ford on the left edge has been tireless, workhorse, played every game. Has he played every game? I'm pretty sure
he was injured.
Yeah, he's gone close, though. He's played in nearly every game and tends to play the 80. Near Corey, when he's been not injured or suspended, has been a mainstay and playing really, really well. And then we've had others like Curran off the bench. And I think our back row's been going really well. Hard to argue. But then he looks like he's found a place at the Storm. I think he's had some really nice moments there as well. So it might just be, best for both teams what's played out.
Yeah, I think Katoa's been fantastic for the Storm when he's been on the field. But we were talking about it with Rue and Hammer when we were watching the game. As great as Katoa's been going, he wouldn't be playing for the Warriors right now. He's been good, but Jackson Ford, Nakore, Barnett, Curran, they've all kind of got that spot. So if he was with us, potentially we may not have got like a Ford. But yeah, I think best for both worlds. He's really flourishing with the Storm, and the Warriors aren't missing him. So yeah, great outcome. But I'm a massive fan, so I'm happy he's doing well.
Definitely.
And then from Ben, what are your thoughts on the Storm? Someone's interested in Haas.
Smart. I would be if I heard any team saying they weren't interested in him. He's, arguably the best front rower in the competition, depending on what side of the Tasman you're on, I guess. But he's one of the best players running around. So if you've got the room to try to bring him in, I don't see why you wouldn't. And if you look at a lot of experience,
or if you look at the area, if you looked at the Storm's roster and said where would they be lacking, I think it's probably depth in their middles, and he would be an instant fix to that problem.
Yeah.
Cool. That's the questions from the live chat, guys.
That's the questions. We'll go with your one first to me.
Sure. Looking at the Roosters' poor form this year, do you think that this season has been an anomaly, or can you see them struggling to be a top 8 team next year and beyond?
It's not an anomaly. I was a year off. Last year, I predicted they wouldn't make the 8.
You did too.
I was confident the Roosters were going to fall apart, but it was a year too early for me. I would be surprised if they're not a top 8 team next year, just because we expect that from the Roosters. And this may be a wake-up call for them to actually address the issues and actually work on how to be a team as opposed to being a roster full of talent that they just buy from everywhere else. So I think it's a one-off, kind of a bit like how the Broncos, had that wooden spoon era. It took them a little bit longer to come back, but I think the Roosters will buy their way out of trouble potentially.
It's not a bad shout. They have history. One more. There you go.
You again. What's your thoughts on it?
I wouldn't be surprised if they go next year like this as well. I think maybe they've gone a little long now with their current regime and way of playing. I think I think a lot of the teams in the competition may have figured them out. I think their roster will still be solid enough. I think you lose Sorli while he's still there next year, isn't he? But then they get Hudson Young.
If they keep him, they might.
If they keep him, yeah, they get not Hudson Young, Dominic Young, who's look how well he's going.
They're getting a few Spencer Leniu as well.
Yeah, if I were Dom Young, I'd want to be back flipping. He's going really well where he is, but look, it's a tough one to say because they could come out next year and kill it, but. Yeah, they have to sort out whatever demons they have going on in their organisation this year.
Definitely. And my question to you, the Knights are on a bit of a roll now, 4-0, while the Cowboys suffered a wee hurdle with their loss. If you had to pick one of those two to make the 8, which one are you backing?
Okay, forecasting things. I'm not the greatest weatherman, but looking at their runs home, I would say the Knights, if I were to take a stab. If you'd asked me this last week, I would have said Cowboys, but, they've taken a setback and they've got a couple of tough games coming up. Something just gives me a good feeling about the Knights and the momentum they have, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went either way. I mean, both these sides are on the cusp, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd be picking the Knights right now. Last week I would have picked Cowboys, but Cowboys losing the game that they should have won. Knights winning a game I thought they would lose. And then, yeah, like Paul mentioned already, Cowboys have got Panthers and the Broncos. So if they play, they could potentially upset the Broncos, maybe, if they sort their crap out this week. But I don't see them beating Penrith. So I think the Knights will get them. The plus side, I guess, for the Cowboys is they still have a bye up their sleeve.
Yeah, true.
Help. But yeah, at the moment, just based on this week, I'm going with Knights. So that's all our questions. So we'll go into round 23, and we finally get to have a picture of the Warriors again for the Warriors-Titans game, playing 8 p.m. New Zealand time, scheduled. Don't know what that means for when their players are actually going to come out, but
yeah, good point.
One of 2 remaining games in Australia for the Warriors. So if you want to give us the rundown of the Warriors lineup.
Stay safe, Brad. What have you done? Yeah, it's a really settled looking lineup now, isn't it? Chans at number 1, Dallin and Marcelo Montoya in the wings, Rocco Berry and Adam Pompey in the centres, Metcalf and Johnson in the halves, Fanor Blake, Wade Egan, Mitch Barnett front row, Jackson Ford, Marata Niokore, Tohu Harris as the back row, interchange of Dylan Walker, Bunty R4, Bailey Sirinen, Josh Curran, Jas Tavanga 18th man, so interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, and then for the Titans, we've got AJ Brimson named despite injury at fullback. We got Cam Pereira and Sami on the wings, Brian Kelly and Aaron Shoup in the centres, Kieran Ford and Tana Boyd in the halves, Mwaki Fotaweka at front row, Sam Farrell's hooker, Isaac Louis at the other front row, David Fafita and Joe Stimson in the second row, and Aaron Clark at lock, with Jaden Campbell, Chris Randall, Cleese Haas, and Isaac Fa'asuamalawi on the bench. Decent lineup for the Titans. I still think they're dangerous. The Warriors, I am picking, though. I think the Warriors will get the job done. Question is with Jazz, do you think he's going to be in the 17? And if so, who's he replacing?
I mean, all things being equal, and if he's fit enough, I'd love him in the interchange. Depends what his match fitness is like. He's been out for a while, so presumably he doesn't have match fitness. Yeah, I'd love to see him in there. If I were to chop somebody for him, probably it's tight between Sirinen and Bunty.
Yeah, I think he will be in, and yeah, I'd be taking out Sirinen in terms of what I see there. I think like for like, Jazz and Sirinen are the closest.
Yeah.
If they want to use Jazz a lot in the middle, so Bunty could be the one that misses out there too. But I think there was Tony Kemp, I think, was talking about it today on Sens, saying that there's a couple of weeks left before finals. Jazz doesn't have that match fitness, so throwing him in now is a way to get that back, as opposed to having him sit there on the bench doing nothing. He's not going to get his match fitness that way. So, yeah, bring him in now. It would be for me. But, yeah, who are you picking in this game? And Paul may as well sneak in too, since he knows Simon's stuff.
I'm going Warriors.
Oh, I see. You don't want to try to get
your
points up in this way?
Not in this game, no. I'm going the bias pick.
Yeah, Paul, what has Simon said?
And Simon's gone for the Warriors as well. Yeah, $1.37. They
Yeah.
are the favourites in this one.
And we do, yeah, we have a comment that, can't take the Titans lightly after that Cowboys win. Yeah.
Can't take anyone lightly.
I know we've talked a lot about the Warriors' remaining games against bottom 8 teams. Titans and Manly are the 2 teams I am worried about out of those clashes, just because the Titans, for some reason, do like to drag the Warriors into a fight.
Yeah.
I still think the Warriors will have the edge here, and I think Webby is a good enough coach where he's kind of got their heads on straight, so they don't go and take teams lightly. Potentially, we'll see.
I think they're all bottom 8 teams we've got from here on in. you prepare every game like it's a finals match.
Yeah.
There's no easy games this time of year, even against the Tigers and teams like that. You prepare like you're taking on the top dog and give it your all.
Last home game for the year is an easy game against the Dragons.
You would say that.
So yeah, Richie's rolling out all the cliches one after the other. Never an easy game.
I've got a book of them. I've got a book somewhere.
Yeah, and Jacko's put a comment in saying that the only threat from Titans is long-range breakout tries. Cover that and we win. Yeah, Khan Pereira and Sami, I'm concerned if they get a break. I don't know if we've got anyone fast enough to catch them. And Foran's crafty and Fafita is always a bit of a monster when he is in the mood. So, shut him down in the middle, which I feel Fanua Blake can do. And keep those wingers quiet and you should be fine.
They may lose Brimson, but then they'll just bring in Jaden Campbell and he's just as good.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll go into the rest of the round after we've all picked the Warriors there. First game on Thursday, Roosters Seagulls. This one was hard, but I've gone with the Roosters. I'm picking, home field advantage.
I'll go Manly.
You go Manly?
So I was going Roosters, but I got to say, look, Manly have got the better own form at the moment, 3 from 1, whereas Roosters only 1 from 3. The Seagulls look 4 from 5 away from home. They're not great. They're not great on the road, to be honest. You
mustn't have been listening earlier when I said that James Tedesco acknowledged that every game is a must-win game now. So the Roosters have understood the objective of the NRL, which is to win games, and
they know the assignment now.
They're going to do it. They're going to win.
So Roosters. Anyway, Simon's going to the Roosters.
Yeah, and then we've all gone Warriors for the first game on Friday night, but the second game, probably the match of the round, Panthers versus Storm. I've gone Panthers.
Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers just
you got to tip
top
of the table for a reason,
Yeah.
Wow, there's an insightful comment from Brad there. Panthers again. They're 4-0 at the moment in their form, whereas Storm are 2-2. So they're not in great form at the moment. The Panthers even bigger favourites than the Warriors at $1.35.
Yeah, Richard brings the cliches and I bring the obvious insights. That's what we do. It's our skill set. The first game on Saturday, Cowboys Broncos. I've gone Broncos. I was going to go with Cowboys until the Cowboys lost in the weekend. I had it in my mind a week out. This was going to be my catching up to Simon moment. But yeah, I don't see the Broncos are humming right now. And I think the Cowboys without Valentine as well, I just don't see where they're going to get their points.
Yeah, I've gone Broncos.
Yeah, look, you got to go Broncos. Broncos away form is amazing. They've won 9 and only lost once away from home this season. The Broncos love to get on the road.
Most of their road games are still in Brisbane. That's why. But it is what it is.
Two of their road games are in Brisbane, right? The Dolphins and Magic Round. Everything else has been on the road.
It's still you don't understand, Paul. Second game on Saturday, Dolphins versus Knights. I've gone with Knights. They're on a roll. Dolphins, as Paul already mentioned earlier, they've had a poor second half of the season. I expect that to continue.
Yeah, Knights. Yeah, they should win.
Yeah, you got to go to the Knights. $1.34. Look, they have with the TAB. I say 4-0 from the last 5 rounds. They're one of the top form teams at the moment. So yeah, they're really making a push for that top 8. And with if the result beforehand goes their way, this could be what gets them in the top 8.
Yep, definitely. And it looks like we're going towards another big multi. Final game on Saturday, Rabbitohs Sharks. I've gone with Rabbits. I've lost all faith in the Sharks. So I think the Rabbits. Yeah, Rabbits for you.
Yep, lost all faith.
Strong favourites with the TAB, but look, the Rabbits aren't in great form either. Look, 2-2 from the last 5 rounds.
But Trail's back.
Yeah, it's still, let's say they're not in great form in the last 5 rounds. But the Sharks, I think one of the comments was they've not beaten a top 8 team this season, and this is a top 8 team, so you've got to go against them.
Yeah. In first game on Sunday, Eels Dragons. I've gone with Eels. They looked really bad, but they should be able to beat the Dragons at home.
Yeah, yeah, they should. The Dragons are terrible. Eels. Starting to sound like you, Brad.
Amazingly enough, this is the strongest favourites of the entire round is the Eels. So yeah, still going with the Eels against the Dragons. I can't believe though the Eels in 11th place against the Dragons are stronger favourites than the Raiders, who are also playing at home, who are in 5th place in the table, playing last in the table. They're stronger favourites than the Raiders. But got to go with Eels, strongest favourites of the round.
I forgot to mention the Rabbitoh Sharks game is actually being played in Perth. So it's a home game, but it's not. But yeah, doesn't matter. And then last game of the round, Raiders Tigers. Raiders. I said I don't see the Tigers winning another game, so I can't pick them.
You know what? I'm going to do something crazy here. Put me down for the Tigers.
Put you down for the Tigers, okay.
I've got a feeling.
If
I'd put Raiders and they were on the multi, this would be the one that kills the multi. I think the Tigers, they're going to do something this week.
All right, okay. You've had a lot of feelings, which is why you're sitting where you are in the tipping comp.
I've only started having these feelings since trying to catch up.
Yeah. So it's a 6-game multi. Yeah, Simon's going with the Raiders. Look at this. Let's go the Green Machine.
So 6-game multi this week.
6-game multi this week. Yep.
Nice. We'll have another step closer to winning you your money back. We promise.
Simon's there. The Dolphins night games in Perth as well.
Yeah. So but yeah, it's good when they take it to Perth as long as it's not for New Zealand because the times are always horrible for us.
Horrible.
But yeah. So that's the round. There's some good games in there. We'll talk about the NRLW round 3 as well. The Roosters are playing the Dragons. Cowboys are playing the Broncos. Sharks playing the Titans. Eels playing the Knights. And Raiders playing the Tigers. So I think the Tigers have a good shot to go 3 in a row on a little bit of a winning streak there. And Roosters are playing tomorrow night. So I'll watch Millie and how she goes against the Dragons. So should be good. So that is the NRL contingent. So Jacko, good night. Cheers for joining us again. We'll talk about Super League just briefly. Catalans have a 4-point lead at the top of the ladder while Wiggins moved back to second place. There's our multi. So fingers crossed we don't lose more money. We're trying our best. But yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, Wigan
is trying his best by taking out the game that could have ruined it. But you're not trying your best at all.
I'm trying to pick who wins. And yeah, Wiggins moved to second because they defeated Lee, who were currently second, and Lee have gone down to third with St. Helens at fourth. Wakefield and Castleford are both tied for last place with 4 wins each. So Wakefield still has a slim chance of getting off the bottom of the ladder. Then the games for round 20, we had Uddersfield defeating Hull FC 19-12. Hull KR defeating Castleford 34-16. St. Helens defeating Leeds 22-18. Wigan putting a pile on Lee 44-18. Then Catalans doing the same to Salford going 42-0. And then Wakefield, they beat Warrington. Wakefield, worst team in the comp, beat Warrington 42-6.
It's crazy.
So, massive for Wakefield. The little engine that could sitting at the bottom. Then round 21, it's got some good matches too. Wigan versus Hull KR, Castleford versus Uddersfield, Warrington versus Catalans, Salford versus St. Helens, Hull FC versus Wakefield, and Leeds versus Lee. So maybe if Wakefield can keep that form going, they might get another win over Hull FC. We'll see. But anything you want to add, Richie?
No, mate. Thanks for the chat, guys. It's been a treat as always.
What a year would be if the Warriors make both grand finals in the Super League and over here.
Yeah,
be a good time.
Flashback to 2011.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight and joining us on Standoff with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune into our show next week at 8 p.m. here on Facebook or at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Cheers for joining me again, Richie, and cheers, Paul, for all your help in the background. And good night, everyone.